Well, I know we've taken some bumpy rides on this show because the fans, we tried to get a little, a little more informational with the men and women that we like to see in the industry, the talented men and women. But boys and girls, I am telling you, tonight, this is my last one of 5. Yes, I'm an idiot. 5 interviews today, and we are capping off the night with yet a bumpy ride. I feel it coming. He may surprise us. We'll find out all together because that's what we like to do is take a journey all together. This is Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid and my very special guest, the Madness of Trip. Welcome, sir. How are you?
Oh, we're more than fine. We're like the rest of the mortals on planet Earth right now, just existing and doing our best to survive these trying times, if you will.
Yeah, very trying times. See, boys and girls, what did I tell you? It's a bumpy ride already. Holy crap. So we are in a very odd time. Now, I hope you, the fam, and everybody, you're good to this whole, Kincaid. Never mind. This whole mess. I hope you're good.
No, we're the family and I. We're doing fine. We're all a group of survivors, one way or another. We've been through more trying times than this. This is just a matter of being antisocial, and this is how we were when we were younger. So it's not much of a change.
Yeah, it's kind of like in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
Good way to put it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen any of the Stirring the Pots because I don't even think anybody watches it besides like my parents and maybe my dad's dog. He might watch it too. But I hope we get some viewers, and I apologize if it's only those 3. My fault. So we'll see if we can get some viewers. But what we like to do, pull back the curtain a little bit of the entertainment value of wrestling, if you will. And we like to hang out, talk like a couple of buddies. I don't know how much of a buddy you are to me and vice versa, because, hey, you scared the shit out of me. But we like to kind of talk to the fans, maybe get to know the madness of Trip, if you will. Are you willing to kind of hang out and talk to us like that?
No, we'll talk to you. I mean, we agreed to this dozen days ago or so, but no, we'll engage you. We'll converse with you, and we'll entertain you a little bit.
Well, hey, that's all I can accept that. I will take that and run with it. But I pulled this shirt out for special occasions right here. I'm not sure if and I know this is about the madness of Trip, but I don't know if you know who Mr. Brandon Webb is, the Devil's Reject. And I pull this out for special occasions, and I had the madness of Trip on here. So I thought this was kind of fitting. Have you ever heard of Mr. Brandon Webb at all, sir?
No, we're familiar with Brandon Webb. We like his work.
We do, but have you ever worked with Brandon Webb? Because that would be a banger of a match, I gotta say.
No, we haven't. We haven't had the pleasure, but that's definitely something to think about. We'll talk to when everything can get back to normal, as normal as things can be. We'll see what can happen.
Let's put the feelers, if you will. Let's put the feelers out there, because that would be a matchup that I would enjoy very much. Not just me, not being selfish here. I think many a fan would like to see that. Now, for the men and women that don't know who the Madness of Trip is, get on the Twitter, get on the face page, look up the Madness of Trip. That's his name on face page. I don't know if that's like his true name.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, it's all over. It's even my gamer tags on Xbox and PlayStation.
Oh, cool. Now, check him out if you don't know him, because getting to know him today is going to be much differently. I don't know. We'll find out again. Than what you see in the ring, because, man, what a character he brings to the table. I've only met the Madness one time, and it was at Survival Championship Wrestling, the debut of. We, the fans, are, and I know you guys and girls behind the scenes, we, the fans, are chomping at the bit for the next show. I cannot wait for the next SCW show.
Oh, us too. Oh my God. We've known the promoter of SCW for years, and when he reached out to us to tell us that he was getting back into the business, we were frothing at the mouth to get onto that show. And when he said we're booked, we were there in a heartbeat. And having someone like you in the front row to engage us in Egazon was we love that. We really do. Nice little snippet. I love having fans that just want to converse and engage, because that's what we do. It's what wrestlers do. I myself, behind that curtain a little bit, I love that with fans. I really do. It gives me something to react to.
Now, we talk a lot about character on this show, but we all about the dance that the fans and the wrestlers, we do this dance back and forth as your entrance in the ring, as you're exiting, the whole 9 yards. There's this little dance that we all do. And holy crap, when never met Mr. Tripp, the Madness of Tripp. That was my very first time, but I knew when he came out, as a fan, I like to be vocal a little bit. I knew the signals he was giving me personally, as a fan, boo me, because we're about to take a ride. And I just let right in on him, and he let right back in on me, which is, that's what I want. That's what we all want in wrestling, because we don't go to sit on our hands. We don't go to be quiet. And if you are, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I go to wrestling to be a little vocal and have a lot of good times. You sucked right into that. And I noticed you really love that portion of the program, the fan interaction with the wrestler with the fan. And I always try to gauge, and I know this is a repetitive question on the show, and I know you haven't watched any of my junk because, hey, it's on Kincaid. You're not going to watch my shit. But anyways, I like to find out, how long does it take, specifically, because we are talking to Mr. Madness, the Madness of Tripp. I got to always remember that correctly. The Madness of Tripp.
Real quick, you can call me Tripp. It works with that.
God, that doesn't sound right. I like the Madness of Tripp. It's this thing, but anywho, yeah, it is. But anywho, was it something you had to develop, hearing the fans when you're coming out, and when you hear the fans taking those chants, working with them, utilizing them to your advantage as a character, and doing that whole bouncing back and forth thing?
So that's as simple as a question it is. The answer is actually more complicated. The persona of the Madness of Tripp is actually many years of trial and error with a whole long list of error. Being able to read and react and engage a crowd is something that doesn't come easy, and then other times it comes really easy, because that really depends on the crowd. And then sometimes it's not even the entire crowd. Sometimes you actually have to find somebody in the crowd and single them out, and then engage that person to engage everybody else vicariously. As the heel or the bad guy, it's easier to engage someone and piss them off. I mean, it's one of the easiest and best jobs in the world, where you're getting paid to piss somebody off. And then as the good guy or the baby face, trying to engage them to get them to rally or get them to sympathize or empathize, sometimes that's harder. So it really depends on what you're going for. I mean, at Survival that night, you were there. I was trying to piss them off. I was trying to make that crowd hate me. They started chanting one more time at me while I'm dropping knees into the ribcage of Garrett Holiday.
Two things about that, or probably three things. First off, we the fans, we're not that bright. And I just say that as a general unit, because we're easy. We're very easy. Second thing, your move set, I think, impresses the fans right off the ripper, because you have a stature about you. You're doing these big, impactful moves. We like that shit. Second off, I was not cheering any of that one more time bullshit, because I love me some Garrett Holiday. So I was one of those fans that wasn't on board. Now, and I know I said three things, but four things. The fans cheer for the heels nowadays, as wrestling has transitioned in chunks. It goes in eras. Things happen and evolve. That's part of the evolution. Like, cheer when you're supposed to be the bad guy, and fans are saying one more time as you're digging into poor Garrett Holiday's ribs. How do you feed off of that?
I deprived them from it. I told them no and went for the cover.
Fantastic answer, because that's exactly how it went down.
That's that. I mean, I've done that several times. I've been present several times over the last 4 months, so 3 months. And the fans are chanting at me one more time when I'm purposely trying to engage them and piss them off. So what do you do when they want one more? Tell them no. Treat them like a scalded dog, and taking too many treats. Treat them like a child reaching for another cookie. No, bad.
Yeah, and you piss us off even more. Again, doing your job very well. As a fan, totally appreciate that whole nuance because Mr. Tripp, I'll do it that way. Mr. Tripp, to do, how do I put this? You seem, and we'll talk on how long you've been in the business, but you seem to be, it comes as a natural thing for you, that engagement. That's why I like to try to figure out is it something that you have to develop. It seems quite natural. We do the thing, you do the thing, you do the thing even worse back to us. That is that whole back and forth that I absolutely love in wrestling. Have you grown up on the wrestling with the villain in mind always, as if you wanted to be a wrestler? Was it always you dug the villain side of it?
Actually, so here's a fun fact. I've spent the majority of my wrestling career as the babyface, as the good guy. I left the business back in 2017 and came back March of 2019. And when I came back and I changed my look, everyone under the sun were like, "Hey, we know you left as a babyface, but we want you to be the heel. We want you to be the bad guy." And it's basically the whole thing behind the Madness of Trip as a persona. Okay. Everything that I mean, there's not much of a separation between the Madness of Trip as a villain or a hero, aside from who I'm talking smack to, who I'm jaw jacking with. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, it's basically all the same.
And I am to understand playing the villain's way easier because you could say something to trigger us so easily, but to try to get us on board sometimes as a babyface is a harder job than people would imagine it being. Getting into, you know what? Again, I'm not that bright. My notifications are on. I do this shit all the time. I just get so excited. I mean, I got the Madness of Trip on here. So being the villain, it seemed for me, I think that's like right up your alley. So take us through, and since we'd like to get the history of the Madness, was the Madness always a character? You said you've changed. Was the Madness still your character when you were a babyface?
So, I'll surmise or give a quick summary of my wrestling history. Started pro training when I was 13, living in Pennsylvania. Came up to New York, moved around quite a bit. Finished my training with the All Nighters, and started wrestling like right after I turned 18. I started off just with the nickname Trip. The very first time I got into a wrestling ring as a 13-year-old short, fat kid. My foot got caught in the ropes. I fell flat on my face. Yeah. So that's where Trip came from. And then when I first got into wrestling, I had an idea of what I wanted to be as a villain, and the promoter didn't like that. So he said, "Well, why don't you use your nickname and be the good guy?" I had no idea what to do, so I just came out being a goofy kind of person. Mm-hmm. Spent a couple years getting my ass kicked and just losing left and right, but the fans were always rallying behind me, always cheering for me. And after a little while, I said, okay, it's not working. So I tried to incorporate, I like heavy metal, so I tried to incorporate my heavy metal lifestyle to it, and still didn't work. Still didn't get over. Fans started to like me less. I tried cutting all my hair off, shaved everything, had the Lash LaRue style sideburns, and tried to go wrestler because that's where a big core part of my training is. Mm-hmm. And still didn't get over. So I spent my first few years just completely just shit in the bed and just not getting over. It wasn't until wrestler in Rochester, Brian Emanon, came back and we started being teammates. Are you familiar with the term spot monkey?
I am.
Okay. Spot monkey is the guy that will sit there, do 30 million flips, land on their head, neck, and back, and get up like nothing happened. They move big spot to big spot to big spot. Well, when Brian came back, we became a tag team as Spot Monkeys Inc. or Spot Monkeys Incorporated. And really, SMI, and we were two grown men loaded up with ink, kind of decked out like the Hardy Boys, and we didn't spot fest. We literally came out acting like monkeys. We came out to the ring eating bananas, throwing bananas to the crowd.
Here.
At one point, we actually had a banana caddy that was throwing us bananas while we were during a match, kind of like Steve Austin would ask for a beer. And then the crowd loved me. That ran for a couple of years. We had a bunch of different tag team titles across the States and up in Canada. And then I blew my knee out and had to take some time off. Now, during that time, I got replaced in the tag team, and I had no idea what I was going to do when I was going to come back. So during my time off, I was watching a lot of different movies, and I got wrapped up in Clockwork Orange, Fight Club, Van Helsing, Willy Wonka. And then I started to see a nice little trend, and I was like, you know what? I could look good in a top hat. And, the rest for the Madness of Trip is kind of history at that point.
Yeah, fantastico.
It didn't start as a Madness of Trip. It became the Mad Hatter of professional wrestling Trip. Then it became just Trip. And then gradually I went from being a character to a persona, and then the Madness of Trip came around as kind of like when Prince became the artist formerly known as Prince.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically what I did with the Trip character. And then when I left and came back, I said, how do you go past an ideal? You go from being a character. I had a Mad Wolf moniker in there at one point too. I went from being a character to a beast to a ideal. So how do you go past an ideal? So that's when the Madness of Trip also became the Mad God. And that's where develop a God complex. Who's to say that we're not a God? And everything got crazier.
It seems like a wacky journey through all of it, because it's hard. I am to understand it's one of the hardest things is finding yourself as a persona in wrestling. May it be a full-blown character from scratch, or even if it's an extension of yourself, it takes a little trial by error in wrestling to kind of really drag that out of you. Now, with that being said, all of these ideas, were these all coming from a one-man show here, or did you have like people outside of you being, hey, why don't you try this? And you're like, you know what, I might add that to it, or was it just all within, your mind?
The only thing that was a collaborative effect was the Spot Monkeys Inc. The rest of the persona was just all up in here. The biggest separation between the Madness of Trip, the wrestling persona, and who I am as a person is the Madness of Trip actually is the watered down version of me.
Did you say watered down?
Oh yeah, that's a watered down version. The reason it has to be the watered down version is 90% of the audiences that you wrestle in front of are kids. So we have to censor ourselves because the amount of depravity, how dark and violent and vicious we could actually be. Yeah, we got to censor ourselves a little bit.
Wow. That kind of brings me to a Len oddity. One Len oddity. Look, did you hear that, boys and girls? Oh my God, that's what I'm talking about.
About Len oddity. Go on.
You guys have some kind of a history. Could you please talk to the fans, take us on a little bit of journey of the Madness of Trip and Len oddity?
So it's funny. Len oddity and the Madness of Trip, we've known each other, and we knew each other for years solely by reputation. And it was a funny moment on Facebook. There was an active page called Trash Bag Wrestlers, where they posted pictures of wrestlers that just, to be blunt, looked like dog shit. They looked horrible. And a picture got up there that had us in it, had me in it, front and center. But the picture was up there for the two people that were in the picture with me, not for me. That's what the admin told me anyway. And a couple of people were commenting, and I was annoyed that they weren't giving better comments. So I was like, come on, feed us some better stuff. I mean, you could call me the, poor man Seth Rollins, Undertaker's gay love child. Give me something good. And then Len Oddity commented on my comments, complimenting my creativity about my own insults. And then, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. He and I started talking, and then there was a company in Albany called In Your Face Wrestling, and we reached out to him. And when we finally got our foot in the door, we met Len. Now, our time at In Your Face Wrestling, we kept both Len and Trip. Both personas were right there. Everyone wanted to see it happen, especially us. And we kept asking, we kept asking. Eventually, there was a match. It was Len Oddity against Drake Evans. And after the match, the IndyCard Mafia, Thomas Brewington, Eric Emanon, Cassius Kutcher, and myself came out, and we, put a couple of quick boots to Len, and then we went after Drake Evans. Well, while we're beating the hell out of Drake Evans, Len decides to hop on my back. At that point, Brewington and Emanon pulled him from me. I said, hold him. He got a nice super kick to the mouth, and then that forced him to fall on a bunch of thumbtacks. Oh. And then we started having it out. We were constantly going back and forth. There's a list of promos. There's a couple of matches. And right when we were getting ready to leave the wrestling business, we actually hit Len with 4 powerbomb backstabbers.
What the?
After we had already beaten him.
Wow.
So we recently had a rematch down in Pennsylvania, and he got one up on us. So the Len Oddity and Madness of Trip story is far from over, far from done, and yeah, it doesn't matter where it is. Any Fed that wants us, we'll give him one hell of a fight. Not even just a show; it'll be a fight. We're both showmen. He's a sideshow. We're Mad God. It's going to be a show, but we'll give them the fight.
Was this last encounter, was it a traditional match? Because I know that Len is really into that hardcore stuff. A little bit of blood does not scare him, and I'm sure not you as well. What kind of match was that? But your last meeting?
It was one of his matches. It was called the Big Bag of Fun match. Any weapon to be used had to come out of a big bag that he brought. So we brought a noose with us, and the referee tried to stop us from using it. So, being smarter than the referee, we decided to take the noose, walk over, put it in the bag, then take it back out, and then we were allowed to use it.
Okay, the big bag. I've seen Len's big bag. Holy crap, there's some surprises in that big bag that people might not expect. I have to ask. Was there a big black double-headed kind of thingamawabber? You know, the kind of...
We saw that. We didn't touch that. We left that in the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That was one of the things. It's like, nope, no.
With Len, you don't know where the hell that thing's been. Are you shitting me? I mean, you don't want to touch that.
No, we know Len has some issues. Actually, no, that's a lie. Len doesn't have issues. He's got a subscription. No, I'm pretty sure that's covered in the bodily fluids of the last few people that have fallen victim to it, and we we weren't playing with it.
I've seen people getting smacked with that right in front of me. It's not a fun time. Well, actually, it's funny, but it doesn't look like a fun time. I don't want to be whacked with that thing.
No.
So you say it's far from over. You would like to see this kind of continue and maybe bring some more of that creativity to the table between you and Len Oddity.
To quote the Joker talking to Batman, I think Len and I are destined to do this forever.
You know, I have not seen one of your encounters, but I would love to be live. I try to follow stuff with footage and pictures and such, but the Madness of Trip versus Len Oddity, I think I'm very, very, very interested in checking some of that out live. We got to make it happen.
That big bag match is on YouTube.
Oh, then I will look at. I don't. Well, you said that double thing wasn't you, so I might look back on that one. So with that being said, promoters, anybody that's watching this that's got any kind of stroke around here, sign this up because I've seen Len Oddity with Dirtbag Dan and a no rope barbed wire match. Insanity. Oh, look at you. You're all smiling over that shit. Oh my God. I've seen Len Oddity outside in a tag team war that was probably some of the bloodiest times I've ever been at wrestling. And I do mean bloody. So you too would put up a banger. I would love to see something kooky like that though. And you seem to be very happy on putting your body on the line a little bit. So getting some...
To give a little background, we revolutionized the hardcore division for a company that used to be in Buffalo called Old School Pro Wrestling. In Rochester, New York, they had a division called the Tap Out title. The only way to win was by submission or knockout in ring and hardcore outside the ring. And we took that and revolutionized that title at the same time. We got hit in the face with Two Tough Tony's Flaming Falcon Punch, and we beat him after that.
Holy shit.
So saying that we're willing to put our body in the line, yeah, that's an understatement. We broke our neck in 2012 and we're still doing this in 2018. So yeah, putting our body on the line, that's just what we do. Having fun while we do it, that's what makes it worthwhile.
What makes a man have a broken neck and come back?
I refuse to have wrestling taken away from me.
It's that passion. And we're as fans, we are passionate and we have fun and we love going to the shows, but that only goes so far. You men and women that get in that ring, I will give you 1,000,000% credit for ever even attempting to go in to start training and taking the bumps, never mind pursuing a career, getting injured and coming back and being like, I got this shit. Dude, it's a broken freaking neck. We've heard it for years and years with Kurt Angle. I could never imagine coming back from something like that. Now, personally, you've gone through a traumatic experience like that. When you come back and you get in the ring for the first time, is it like jumping into the water with the sharks? Like you just get so nervous, or how did that go for you?
So I didn't let myself get nervous. I didn't let myself think about it, and I couldn't like completely succumb to the fear. So when I broke my neck, I broke my neck. It was a post-match tombstone pile driver that we were both just tired and sweaty and fatigued and everything, and just upper back of my head. I had 2 fractures to my C3 vertebrae, compressions for C5, C6, and C7, and hematoma in the spine. And the neurosurgeon told me that I had the 1 out of 50 chance it didn't end with paralysis or permanent nerve damage. That was August 25th, 2012. And December 1st, 2012, I had my first match back.
December?
Yeah. December 1st.
Hell?
Oh, no. So here's where it gets a little freakier. Buffalo Neurosurgery told me that I was it was really weird. And who was it? PA Vargo started calling me Wolverine because I didn't have a neck surgery. My neck healed naturally.
Really?
Yep. My first match back was against wrestlers passed away, Mike McGee, and yeah, I remember the promoter early in the night. I remember Sean telling me, he's like, "Hey, I need you to take it easy," and I said, "Okay, sure." Working the match, I go for the super kick, I get a low blow, so I win by disqualification. He gets out of the ring, grabs a ladder, cracks me in the back right near my neck with the ladder, puts my head between the rungs of the ladder, gets on the ropes like he's about to jump and stomp it, and security split us up. Security guide him out of the ring. Security helped me up, checked to see if I was okay. I said, I'm fine. Ran, flipped over the top rope onto him and security. I remember getting to the back, and the promoter's like, I thought I told you to take it easy. I said, Sean, I did. Didn't start the match like that.
Wow. I don't know, man. That passion really drives you men and women. It's something special. It's something because of the effort, the sacrifices, everything that it takes to be a wrestler. It's just, I don't know, man. It fascinates me. It really does. Never mind the wrestling, the characters, the eye candy that we see, being the lights or your accessories or your gear. I don't know, all of it. It all kind of gets me going. Now, I have to address something because since the day I've met you and still today, you talk we, our, us. Please, I kind of know where it's coming from a little bit, but I would like to know more. Tell us, the fans, what the hell is that all about?
So as a mad god, we, like a god, gods are supposed to be omnipotent. They're supposed to be all seeing, all knowing, all powerful. So we is a adaptation of the concept that we are everywhere. We see everything. It's an omnipotence. Just imagine obtaining the full unbridled view of a god. 90% of the time, if you have a god's undivided attention and we becomes I, it's not boding well for you. So we is in essence the placation and standardization of what a god's persona and presence is. And if we ever becomes I, they should be prepared for the most violent version of the mad god that they will ever see.
Damn. As you were speaking, I was hearing the words, but I'm trying to envision myself looking like a god. Damn, I would be jacked for once in my life. That would be amazing. Oh my God. I would I would love 30 pounds, maybe 40. I would love that. It is what it is, and that's why I'm on that's why I'm on this side of the guardrail and not on that side of not
you
this
should have
kid.
talked last year when we were first coming back to wrestling. We were about 265 pounds, just obese, out of shape. Yeah, 2 years off, no intention of coming back. We weren't doing what we needed to do. And then combination of intermittent fasting, DDP yoga, and going back to the gym, we currently weigh 204 pounds.
265 to 204?
Yep.
Wow. I am to understand that DDP yoga is something amazing.
Oh, yeah.
What did it do for you specifically? What did it, like, part of your regimen? How did it help you?
So DDP yoga is resistance training meets yoga. So it's definitely a good strength builder, helps with your stabilizer muscles. And one of the things that was complementary for me is after breaking my neck, periodically I would have flare-ups where it would cause numbness or tingling or just affect my motor functions on my left side. And because of DDP yoga, I haven't had a single flare-up in 18 months, year and a half.
Wow. So
DDP yoga has actually helped stem any issues from my neck. I mean, I get occasional tension headaches, which are still a residual effect. Beyond that, motor functions haven't been affected in a year and a
half. Going down such a weight differential, 265 to 204. Do you find yourself maybe going in a little too hot at times because, it's something you've had to adjust with your weight and being in the ring? Is it something that has been hard to adjust as you're decreasing on your weight size? Because I can't say that you're coming in at 265. You're coming in with a lot of run, a lot of pressure is coming in behind you. But as you're decreasing your size, you almost overcompensate sometimes. Has that been an issue?
No, the only thing that's actually been an issue is I got to get my gear taken in because I have my gear. I have spandex tights and it's baggy on me. Spandex shouldn't be baggy.
Thank you for right. I'm so sorry. Hey, I got like a 50-cent setup going on over here. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's the thing about spandex. It doesn't once it goes out, it doesn't go back in.
Yeah, I gotta get my gear taken in. I also have new gear being designed that will be making a debut at some point once everything clears up.
Hey, that was one thing I love to talk topic of. It's not only your words, you're very eloquent with words. You're a very wordy person and put it all together to bring that character together. You have the top hat, but you have this I don't want to call it a scepter, maybe a staff with a, whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Don't want no trouble. That thing. And it's got like all of these lights on it and shit. And your gear, very bright. You come out that curtain and I feel like, you know, because you have to stand out as a wrestler. Not that your look doesn't stand out by any means, but you're saying, I'm here. It's time to look at me because I got some shit to show you and we're going to go on a roller coaster ride. Am I wrong on saying that?
No, that's exactly why I have the look that I have. You know, the staff that lights up down the body, the eyes, the faces of the skull. The skulls themselves glow in the dark. I have this top hat that adds an extra 8 inches of height just for me coming through the curtain. I have a bright, vibrant royal blue and neon green outfit, touched in black, with a feather boa for half the collar that's interchangeable. I can change the colors on that thing, you know, depending on what the mood is. I have made it a point that if it's a championship match, I wear my purple one.
So
why there's a nice insider view.
Why purple? Why purple though?
Purple is a regal, elegant kind of color, and it has been depicted so in all forms of history. So I just maintain the same history. It's one of the little subtle nuances that I do. But no, my intention is I'm going to grab your attention the second I come through the curtain. I'm going to keep your attention with what I do in the ring.
The story you told us by snapping a rib, maybe two, of one Garrett Holiday, it was early on. Look at you. That evil. But you took us on a ride because for the rest of the event, we had Garrett Holiday trying to get to that final tournament match, get that championship. And all of us were like, I've made so many new friends, you included there. It wasn't just the fans, but I've met so many new men and women behind the curtain that day. It was phenomenal. But I met some new fans and we were all in the same boat. You fucked up Garrett Holiday. He may come out for the next match, but he's not making it to the next match. What's he do? He comes out, he makes it to the next match. He may make it to the next match, but there ain't no way he's winning that championship. What does he do? He wins the championship. It all started with your match, though. You got that storyline really a rolling for us, the fans, and Garrett's story to go through the whole evening. That's got to be kind of like, even though it's not the main event, you started that storyline in the evening, which takes us on that full ride. You've got to be pretty like warm-hearted with being part of that, no?
No, again, my job as a wrestler is to help sell the show. Like here's that peeking behind the curtain that you were talking about.
Yeah.
My job as a performer, as an entertainer, is to sell the project, is to sell the story. And part of that story for Garrett was he had to fight. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was beating the shit out of him. That's what we do. I beat the shit out of you. I don't pull anything back. I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna make you feel it. You are going to react. You are going to feel it later. So if he was going to beat me, if he was going to win that championship, he had to do so with everything stacked against him. And the first thing against him was me. The second thing against him was compliments of me, and that was making it hard for him to breathe. So yeah, it does. It's a good feeling to know that you get the snowball effect going. You know, I'm the one that kicked the boulder down the hill, and where's it going to go from here? So yeah, it does. It warms the soul a little bit, as many as a god has.
I love following that stuff because even though in different promotions you get a little of traditional match, you'll get maybe a lucha match, you'll get a women's match, you'll get a hardcore match, and they try to give you a little bit of something, okay, throughout the evening. But at that SCW show, from the beginning to the end, it told a very specific story going through each match. And even though the women might have not been part of that exact storyline with the tournament and all of the big championship, they've become part of the company, part of the storylines that will be in the future. So you guys did a bang up job from beginning to end, taking us on that ride. I love that shit so much, man.
Oh, I had a blast. SCW is definitely instantly one of my favorite places to work. But again, the promoter and I, we already have a history, so I had no qualms about coming in and then seeing the product that he helped put together and the talent that he stacked on that card. Oh, I was excited. I was disappointed with everything that's going on, with the fact that the show had to be postponed. I was originally slated to be in a fatal 4-way, and then I was given the opportunity to be the first volunteer. So when it gets to happening, you will see Bobby Ocean against the Madness of Trip. That's what the change was going to be.
Holy crap.
Oh yeah.
Now there's a new championship coming into SCW, and it's called the Collar and Elbow Championship, and it's not set for any gender. It's women, men. It looks fantabulous. It has a story behind it, being an old history. There used to be a collar and elbow, and SCW is trying to bring that lineage, if you will, to the now. And would a title like that be in the sights of the Madness of Trip, or are you just trying to run roughshod through any company that you walk into?
That depends. I mean, as a performer, I like to perform. I really do. But giving more credence and more to who the Madness of Trip and the Mad God is, top hats and titles is such a wonderful catchphrase. And we have a couple of championships still, and we would love to add to that list. I mean, I remember being a kid and seeing Ultimo Dragon with cruiserweight championships from all over the world, and I remember being a tag team champion in numerous cities, numerous states. Yeah, I'd like to do that again. So the color, the heavyweight championship doesn't matter. They look good with the top hat.
You said you have some titles currently. Could you share with the fans? You're champ. You hold current titles right now?
Yep. There's a company in the Geneva, Lyons, Phelps area, Ultimate Wrestling. We are their internet champion right now. And then one of the fun ones is the band that did our entrance music, BD2. You can catch them on iTunes and Spotify. Cheap plug. We actually beat the lead singer on a stage at one of their gigs for the BD2 championship, the best band in the world title. And there's a company down in Pennsylvania, AFCW, Ace Fusion Championship Wrestling. We plan on defending that title when that company, when everything gets back to normal. So we're going to take that from being the stage prop that it was and legitimize it and make it a real title.
Wow. That sounds pretty fun. Speaking of titles, if I may, sir, if you notice, I have this beautiful Stirring the Pot championship behind me. It was very well handcrafted by one Bruce Hogg, and he did it for my birthday. It was amazing. But my point being, do you know who Hamlet Hershew is by any chance?
Name is vaguely familiar.
Well, he recites Hamlet stuff and such, Shakespearean type stuff, very well, ring prowess right up there. I tell you, very good. Good with his words, obviously, if he's a Shakespearean. But this is his buddy Uric. Well, not specifically. This is a kind of a replica with his little signature. He is the current and 19th champion. He is the Stirring the Pot champion right now. I did want to point him out because I thought he was right up your alley. That's Uric. Uric, Madness of Trip, champ.
Oh, well, first we'll beat him and then we'll add him to our collection.
Whoa. That championship has been it's been on the back burner right now. He's been holding on to that championship a little bit, probably too long than he should have. My nephew has taken it. My cat has taken it. Many a TOS wrestler have taken it. We have some fun with that championship, I must say. And hey, if you want to jump in on that, I might have to bring it up to the next SCW. We might do a little something. That would be, you know what? That would be some fun. Yeah. Sorry, Uric. Uric's going to be shit out of luck of a championship. Um, where do you call home? Because I don't know much of the Trip of Madness. Is there a promotion that the Trip of Madness calls home at all?
Um, Not anymore. No. For almost 14 years, we called home to a company called OSPW in Buffalo, New York, and they folded September of 2016. And then there was a new company that opened in Rochester called Underworld Champions. Unfortunately, the drawing power wasn't there, and that one folded almost as quick as it started. We are the last Northeast champion for that company. We had to beat Bobby Ocean for it at the last UWC show.
Fuck. Where the fuck am I? How am I missing this shit, man? I guess I don't have my eye on the pulse as much as I think.
Well, we are Western New York. We reside in Buffalo, New York, so we're all the way across the state.
And that's a couple few hours for me, probably 2.5, 3-ish, maybe probably closer to 3-ish, maybe even a little bit more. Man, you guys in New York are coming up with some cool federations that have been coming up in the last few years. The and I always mess this up. NYCW, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, we love there.
Yeah. Wait, you reside over there too?
We wrestle in New York State. We wrestle for Ultimate Wrestling, which is again the Geneva Lions Phelps area. New York Championship Wrestling, which is between Syracuse and Utica. We wrestle for Survival, and that's currently all we wrestle for in New York. We were talking to one up in the Adirondacks, but again, all of this is, everything going on has completely messed that up. We were supposed to be going down to Mississippi next weekend. Again, everything is messed up. We had a long list of different places, different cities, different states. We were traveling a whole lot, and all of this is now just got everything just on pause.
I know there's another promotion that kind of popped up as of late the last couple of years is Immortal Championship Wrestling. Maybe they're not as new as I would think, but I don't know if you've heard of them. You might want to, take a soiree over there.
We've talked to Immortal. We've talked to them. We've exchanged back and forth, and at the time of our inquiry, they weren't looking to bring in any new talent. And when we were ready to touch base again, all of this happened.
You know what? This whole thing has really messed up a lot of men and women's immediate, and I'm going to say immediate future, because I mean, because you always get these matches and they don't come very often where it's against a name that is going to have eyes on you. Okay. And I'm not taking anything away from the local talent, but what happens when you bring in, and I'll just use a Tommy Dreamer, for instance. Okay. You bring in Tommy Dreamer. That's a name that people know, they recognize, they kind of dig Tommy Dreamer. So they're going to go see what's Tommy Dreamer, who he's fighting, what's going on. And those more eyes will get to said event. And I get that. But what's happening is, you guys, it's almost like a little dream crusher with everything going on, because you have these little things that were supposed to be right there, right there, right there. How do you persevere from all of that moving forward after we get to some normalcy?
So for me, it actually hits me twice as hard. Aside from being the a active wrestler, active entertainer, and the bookings and all the matches I was supposed to do, it messes us up financially. I'm also a business owner. I own a company called Mad God Media and Arts, and as that, I'm an entertainment consultant and booking agent for independent entertainers, which includes wrestlers. So my finances are all sorts of messed up right now. It sucks. Being a business owner, unemployment doesn't really like to talk to us. So I'm kind of in that limbo spot. But it's not going to be hard to really come back. I'm pretty sure wrestling is going to come back with a vengeance once all this, gets to some kind of level of normalcy. And even if it's not normalcy, because let's face it, things probably are never going to go back to the way they were. But once they get to the point where it's a controllable situation and everyone can get back to performing, I have a feeling that wrestling is going to boom, because people are going to want to be entertained, and wrestlers are going to want to get as much work in as possible because a bunch of us are frothing at the mouth. Gyms are closed. We can't go work out. A lot of wrestling schools probably can't operate right now because, again, you're not allowed to have a certain amount of people there. And the idea of entertaining, like, wrestling is painful. It hurts. But I miss bumping in a ring right now. I miss entertaining. I miss either pissing the crowd off or getting them to laugh. Like, I miss being across from an opponent trying to get them to laugh, being a smartass. I miss just whispering sweet nothings into a referee. I miss biting people.
Biting?
Did you not pay attention to when we bit the referee?
Yeah, but I mean, that's a regular thing.
Go on our YouTube. You will see us bite a lot of people. And we're not gender biased either. We are not.
You said a couple funny things right there. Whispering across to your opponent. I've always wondered some of the shit that you guys say across the ring from each other. Could you just throw a couple lines at us that would come off the top of your head? Could you please share? Because I think it would be funny as hell.
Absolutely. I've actually I had to wrestle one of my friends, and this is down in Dunkirk, New York. And here's a nice fourth wall breaker. He's got me at a headlock. And as he's holding me in the headlock, I look up at him and just real casually say, "Hey, where are we going to dinner after the show?" And then we still had a conversation, and we got to the debate about Denny's or Applebee's, and we decided on Applebee's because the waitresses were cuter. I wrestled Northwest Ohio Wrestling in Toledo, Ohio, and it's a battle royal early in the show before I wrestled in a fatal four-way. And I get in there with Tyson Dukes. And everyone seemed to be afraid to engage him because a lot of them were very, very new to the business, and he's Tyson Dukes. So I think they were afraid to, nope. I went right up to him, punch him right in the mouth. And as I'm kicking him in the corner, at the time I had boots that resembled pirate boots. And he was complimenting my boots while I'm kicking him.
Get the hell out of here.
And I'm telling him as I'm hitting him, I said, they're just boot covers. And he said I was a liar. So as I kick him, I go to adjust my boot just to show him they were boot covers, and then punch him in the mouth again and said, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
But those are just some of the normal conversations. Beyond that, I'm a smart ass. I am a smart ass to such a degree that I make smart ass an art form.
Oh,
and
God.
I had someone, we go for the test of strength, and he grips my hand. And he grips it real tight. And I've done this a bunch of times. And I do this purposely just to try to make my opponent break. By break, I mean just start laughing. As they grip my hand, first words out of my mouth be like, wow, that's a tight grip. You don't have a girlfriend at home, do you?
How many times? Well, obviously there's probably no count, but do you get a little bit of a ratio that you get to have them break within the grasp of a test of strength or whatever?
I get that probably 1 out of every 5 times I get them to break. And when they do, I start lighting them up.
That's hilarious, man. See, these are the things, boys and girls, that we would never find out hanging out at a show, because when he's at a show, this is not the persona that we get from them. I will tell you that right now. So these are the things that I really enjoy that we get to talk about. This show, I just feel like the more open forum it is, the more comfortable everybody can be. And I don't like to be stuffy because, hey, I'm not even close to being a professional by any stretch of the imagination. So I just like to have fun and just hang out in conversation like this, man. I love it. But you've been in the game for a bit. I also like to gauge the boys and girls, well, the men and women. Are you click on Raw, SmackDown, Impact, ROH, any of the mainstream product, or do you watch the indie scene at all? What do you do for wrestling, or do you even watch wrestling?
I try to watch enough of it so I'm still in the know about what mainstream wrestling has got going on. I've been more of a fan of AEW lately, not so much because of their product, but because I actually have a lot of friends there. Like,
Right.
I know Sean Spears because he used to wrestle for the same home company, OSPW, years ago. I know, Brody Lee because I've wrestled him. I
Hmm.
know, like, there's a bunch of people there that I know personally. So it's like I watch them to see what they're doing, to see how they're doing.
Hmm.
I watch enough of Raw or SmackDown, or I at least catch the highlights. So again, I'm in the know about what's going on. I pay attention to the indies more so if I know people that are on the show. I pay attention to what else is on the show. I try to be supportive to both my friends and peers, and flip side to the business aspect that I mentioned earlier, to my clients.
Hmm.
So I try to be in the know enough so I'm not asking 1.5 million questions. But I
Right.
don't sit down and religiously watch anymore. I really don't.
It's hard because wrestling is so flourishing and TV has given us so many options now that, I mean, just TV alone, you can watch wrestling almost all week long, if not all week long. I mean, between NWA, so you've got
Yeah.
Monday Night Raw, Tuesday night, you could watch
But
NWA, and then you've got the Wednesday Night Wars there with the NXT and Dynamite, and then
yep,
Thursday, is there wrestling on Thursday nights?
Impact.
Oh, Impact. Sorry, Impact, and then you've got Friday Night SmackDown. I mean, just the week alone. Then you go to indie shows or you go to the bigger shows on the weekend. It's like wrestling is so out there right now, man.
Well, that's why, like, because wrestling is so out there and wrestling is so predominant and mainstream now, that's why people got sick of, like, people like John Cena and Roman Reigns. They're two different generations answer to what Hulk Hogan was back in the 80s. The
Mm.
difference is you didn't have the internet, you didn't have social media. Hulk Hogan was a spectacle, but trying to put the same kind of power in the everyday sense that they have now. That's why people like Roman Reigns and John Cena have had fans turn on them, because they're kind of stuffed down your throat.
Mm.
Welcome to
Yeah,
mainstream wrestling.
I definitely feel that. I mean, I know we all have our own move set, but when you're seeing John Cena in a main event yet again, and it's the shoulder tackle, it's the suplex, it's the hand jive, and then it's the pin
Five
or
moves
the
of doom, man. That's all you got to call it. 5 moves of doom. But Hogan, Hogan had the same thing: clothesline, big boot, body slam,
right.
leg drop. But then he had 20 other moves that were all posing.
Hmm. But it was a different time, and we as fans, we took wrestling very differently. Again, the evolution. Fans get smarter over the time, get a little bit smarter to behind the curtain, if you will. A lot of them think that they know everything behind the curtain, but they really don't, and they try to think they do. Um, but fans have gotten way smarter over the years, so it is now. I was talking, I have a fan roundtable, and we were talking because we had one Maxim Morozov and one the Warden. God, I had those two. Um, they interjected. They somehow hacked my Skype, and there was like 9 of us in one Skype call. It was madness, no pun intended. Now we had a little, we had a little convo about, and I'm no behind the scenes guy. I don't throw all of these, wrestling terms. I may throw heel and heat and shit like that, but kayfabe is a lost art over time. I think, do you feel that it's been a lost art? And I'll use Dan the Man. If you're not familiar with Dan the Man, holy shit. Wow. Holy shit. You've got to be familiar with Dan the Man.
Oh yeah.
Numero uno with the kayfabe thing. I love Dan the Man just because of that fact. I hate Dan the Man for everything that he does. And he's kind of, he's not very nice to me ever. Do you feel that because your character, very kayfabe-ish, do you like that whole mystique of the kayfabe thing being alive like that?
Yeah, I really do. I'm a firm believer of kayfabe and a practitioner of kayfabe. Like, engaging me in a conversation like this isn't necessarily me breaking kayfabe per se, because again, the persona of the Madness of Trip and
It's
who the
still
person is
here.
behind it is, censored.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much of a difference between me as a person and me as a performer, other than I have to be watered down just to make sure I'm not hurting ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a businessman 100% through and through, but there's a lot about who I am as a person that people aren't going to know, but you can know anything and everything under the sun about who the Madness of Trip is. Right. So no, I'm a firm believer in keeping that mystique, keeping that separation. And I wish more people would. One of the issues, my perspective of it, that became an issue was people got so attached to the realism of the Attitude Era, and then with the growth of social media and the internet, there's a lot of people that thought that was the permanent direction the wrestling needed to go. And while on one side of the coin it grew there, where there's a lot of people that just want the real, the classic nostalgic kayfabed persona, gimmicky gimmicks, characters, cartoon characters that came to life, like Texas Tornado, Ultimate Warrior, Coco Beware, Junkyard Dog, Hillbilly Jim. Wrestling, grew in two different directions. But if you look at wrestling now, those two different directions are kind of crossed now and are growing up side by side. So you actually have that harmonious growth of the real and the kayfabe that it's hard to tell which one fans prefer more, because sometimes they'll look at a gimmicky gimmick and say, oh, this is horrible. And then you have other people that just eat it up. And then vice versa. Some people want the real, and, you can't. It really depends. It's a lot of it varies performer to performer. A lot of it varies fan to fan. A lot of it varies based on what a performer's strengths and weaknesses are. I've told everyone that when I decide that I'm actually going to be done with the business, people are going to see me drop the entire kayfabe and gimmick aspect of the Madness of Trip, and people will basically get me as me. And let's face it, I'm probably, to be perfectly honest, just a insult comic with a beard. I'm probably just going to be the biggest asshole on the planet with a microphone and just piss everybody off.
Oh my God, I can't. And I don't want to see the tail end of your career, but I'm kind of looking forward to that portion of the program.
You'll know when it happens, because when it happens, and it'll be a shock, I'll start talking as the Madness of Trip, and I will literally dead stop myself and just say, you know what, I can't do this shit anymore. And people will see the literal change of the face and the entire demeanor and everything that I say from that point on. People are going to have to ask. It's like, wait a minute, is this a gimmick, or is he actually just being a dick? And yeah, that's when everyone will know. It's like, oh yeah, he's getting ready to get out.
Well, the Madness of Trip has taken us on a very interesting ride today. I knew it was a little bumpy, not as much as I expected. We did learn quite a bit of them, they, yeah.
See, that it would have been a much bumpier ride had this been in person, because I could have demonstrated all the different levels of choking that there are. Because one of our favorite games, we've actually done this with an audience, is we'll ask them to count, and usually the ref interrupts us with his counts. We'll try to get the audience to count to see how long it takes them to go from blue to white.
I don't. Now that you've said that, I will never. And please don't take this with an insult. I will never ask you for a face-to-face interview for as long as I'm alive. I will do them all from a distance as such. So just saying, now that you put that out there, I got to put that out there. I don't want to die.
That's fair. That's fair.
Your look, your demeanor, your charisma, your gimmick, your attire, your staff, your accessories, it all makes one really cool package that as soon as I seen you, I knew that was someone that I had to talk to. Never met him before, but I still had to talk to him. And I am so grateful for your time today, Mr. The Madness of Trip. I really appreciate your time today.
Well, no. Thank you very much. I mean, it's trying times right now. And aside from like the finances, I think one of the biggest tryings that we have is maintaining relevancy among, the only thing that's surviving right now is the mainstream aspect of the professional wrestling world. So
Hmm.
a lot of guys like ourselves that are, we're independent contractors. We don't have, that kind of money to keep pushing our narrative, keep pushing our product. So we have to maintain our relevancy in any form or fashion. So when I saw that you were, doing more interviews, that's why I asked right away. I said, "Hey, tell me about this. I'm
Hmm.
interested." It's not even just, the relevancy for, for the Madness of Trip. It's a matter of, we like to help and add to someone else's product. This is your product. So being a part of it is something that brings our relevancy to your demographic, but also hopefully, we're helping you. I
It's
mean,
been nothing but such a fantastic ride, because again, I would never be able to sit and talk to you men and women at shows like this. And a lot of things of wrestling fascinate me. And I know it's not just me and many of the fans that I'm associated with, never mind everybody else that might know you already or the ones that don't know you. I think all of these sit downs, each of them have their own individual flavor. Some of the questions might be the same, but again, I need to gauge each and every person because each and every person is different. Their mindset is different. The way they've approached something is going to be different, in the general sense, doing the drives, doing the ring, getting your training, the general stuff is all there, but the perspectives are always different. So I was excited to get you on because I was like, this dude's going to be a total Fruit Loop. And man, you very you surprised me today. You're very, and I'm not, again, I am not insulting you at all, but you are a wackadoo at the show. I was expecting a total wackadoo through this whole thing. And I didn't even expect more than like maybe 15 minutes. And I thought you were going to not stomach me very well and probably hang up. So I appreciate that as well.
well, Aristotle said it best: no great genius ever existed without a touch of madness.
Oh, that's a perfect ending to this little soiree. So I can never say that. I don't even know why I try to say that. This was Stirring the Pot with Don Kincaid. And my very special guest, not as trippy as I expected this ride to be, but fascinating nonetheless. My very special guest, the Madness of Trip. Thank you so much for your time today, sir. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
I know we did too. Holy